So I passed out. I'm home alone, and I only wake up because there's this insistent male voice that keeps saying, Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up or you're going to go home. Grounding and clearing your energy when you're in the shower. Don't just clean your body, your skin, clear your energy. I'd like to let go of any energy not serving me, sending it down that drain right now. So we can start to entertain the thought and explore the belief that everything's happening for me versus everything's happening to me. This doom and gloom, this martyr, this victim.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is 20/20. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight, yesterday and your tomorrow. In hindsight, is so much clearer now.
Hey, imagine discovering the key to letting go of the pain that has held you back for years. What if you could finally release old energy and live a life filled with joy and purpose? Hey, welcome to Hindsight, the podcast. I'm Lee Jones, your host, and today I'm so happy to have Wendy Rose Williams as my special guest. Wendy is a past life energy healer. I can't wait to get into this conversation, who helps people do just that. Wendy has experienced two near-death experiences, NDEs, and a profound spiritual awakening that has shaped her journey in helping others. She's here to share her unique insights into releasing energy that no longer serves us. Welcome, Wendy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Lee. Thank you so much for having me as your guest.
Thank you for coming on today. I'm super excited to have this conversation and to learn a little bit about you, right? So we can become friends and go forward and do great things in the world.
All right.
Where are you calling in from today?
I live in Spokane Valley, Washington, which is eastern Washington state. So I'm about 5 hours east of Seattle.
Okay. I know exactly where you are. Well, I don't know exactly where you are. I'm familiar with the area. Beautiful place. Absolutely. So this is Hindsight, the podcast. So before we get into the healing and the releasing those energies that we don't need in our body, we like to talk about how you got to where you are today. Some important decisions, some, things that just happened in your life and you had to deal with them, partially those two NDEs. But just tell us just a little bit about you.
Certainly. So I was born in Quebec and I had moved to Boston, met my husband there. And we then moved out to the West Coast, to Seattle, because he was from the West Coast, from California. And just living this conservative life, married, had a baby, another baby on the way. And I had earned my MBA degree by the time I was 22. So just wanted to, just have that stability, et cetera. And he was also an MBA. So in 1997, the near-death experiences just really changed everything for me because, Lee, I started to be able to hear angels. And I had not had that experience before. I was a Christian in the sense of I believed in God. I believed that Jesus was his only son sent to uplift the world in a very dark time and was an amazing healer. But that was about as far as it went. So the NDs really, really changed things for me. And I didn't know what to do with it because it was 1997 and there really wasn't a lot of information out there about near-death experiences. It was very hard to language. I didn't choose to speak with my healthcare practitioners about it because I had been, the first one had happened when I was home alone. And then the second, and that's what got me to receive help because what happened in a nutshell was I was 10 weeks pregnant and my fundus ruptured, and that is the aorta at the top of the uterus. So I passed out. I'm home alone, and I only wake up because there's this insistent male voice that keeps saying, Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up or you're going to go home. And I knew exactly what that meant was, oh my goodness, I've got to get to the phone and call for help because something is really, really wrong medically, physically. So, and that was Archangel Michael, and he is straight to the point.
Okay.
So got assistance to get to the phone. My husband was home in 3 minutes for a 5-minute car ride, and got me to the hospital. And I did get that medical assistance that I so needed. I had a second near-death experience a few days later in the hospital the night before surgery, because we hadn't rushed in to do surgery because the body's a miracle. And, it was like, okay, stay prone. We're going to do transfusion medicine because clearly you're losing blood at a rapid rate. But I was going through in my mind, okay, what are the non-essential organs?
Oh, wow.
Because I felt like an organ burst when I went down in the bathroom at home, and I had called out to God for help. So, and I believe that was a big part of why I was so fortunate that the angels came in like that.
Okay.
So I have the second near-death experience the night before the surgery, and in a nutshell, I go home to the light. I have this amazing reunion with soul family. I get so much energy downloaded to me, so much love. To get that hug when you get home, to have that reunion party, it made me realize we don't get unconditional love very often necessarily on this planet. And we've got to learn to give it to ourselves as well as just give it to others. Yeah. So, just so many things happened with those near-death experiences. And as I said, I didn't know what to do with them because I get back to work after recovering for 6 weeks, because it was 6 weeks of bed rest. The doctor estimated I had lost 3/4 of my blood supply during that process. So very fortunate to have gotten that immediate medical attention and to be living in the times that we live in. Because 100 years ago, I couldn't have gotten that assistance.
Not at all, no.
So that changed things profoundly in 97. And it was difficult going through the pregnancy, even though I'd been given that reassurance, because what I learned when I went home was given this very respectful choice of, do you want to come back? You're welcome to stay. And when I was first getting that hug at home, it's like, why the heck would I go back? Are you kidding me?
I know. Wow.
So it just, but then more information was shared with me. What I was told was, if you choose to go back, you'll have a successful surgery tomorrow and you'll fully regain your health. And number 2, your baby will be born healthy. So those were huge parts of my decision. So then at that point, I was kind of waffling, do I go back? Because we had a toddler. We had a beautiful little 18-month-old. But number 3 that Archangel Michael shared with me at home during that second NDE was the kicker. And it was, if you choose to go back, your life will be very difficult, lively for many years, because you're not living your path. You're not living your purpose. And I didn't know what to do. He wouldn't share any more information. No one else would share information because they weren't meant to.
Yeah. Wow.
I was 36 years old. I was supposed to figure it out for myself. And Lee, there's just so much beauty in the stumbling around, getting things, quote, wrong. Well, it's not getting them wrong. We just don't have hindsight yet. At that point, we don't have the gift of the gift of the hindsight. We're not doing the Monday morning quarterbacking because we're in the thick of it.
Right.
So I did go through some very, very difficult challenges. My husband and I divorced when our daughters were 6 and 8, and I had to rebuild life in a pretty major way after that. And then fast forward another 6 years after that, things were going great again. Once our daughters were 12 and 14, we had I'm proud of us for the peaceful decoupling and ending that we did to the marriage. And we both said, we're going to focus on what the girls need. And we just need to be peaceful with one another. We need to be respectful of one another, because we were doing shared custody and some shared, finances to take care of them. And that takes a lot of trust. So we both were just really growing through that experience. And So now the girls are 12 and 14. And what happens is, I've really rebuilt life. Life is going really, really well. And that made me kind of pause and look around and go, what's missing? I feel like something's missing. And I had not dated at all. I'd had no interest in it. I wanted to focus on the girls, and I needed to rebuild life, rebuild my career. My mother and I had been building a 2-family home together so that she could live next door and just help with the girls. So, but all of a sudden it's like, wow, I'm ready to meet a great guy. And I just hadn't been interested before. So, and then I'm like, how the heck do you do that?
Yeah.
Because it had been 25 years, and it was now 2010. So I asked younger girlfriends who were actively dating or who were engaged or had met their second husband or whatever. And they all said, oh, Wendy, that's easy. You just go on Match.com. And I said, Match. What? What are you saying to me? I didn't know what online dating was.
Right.
So girlfriends helped me put together a profile, get some pictures, do all that. And that was a profound change for me, Lee, because what it did was I then met the soulmate. And soulmates, I believe, are people that we travel with many times. I believe our souls are eternal, and that we choose where and when we're going to incarnate to take on these different lessons. And so hindsight is definitely coming in there, but it's really hidden from us in many cases in this lifetime through that purposeful veil of amnesia, so that we keep our excitement and we're willing to try new things because we're not jaded, like, oh, that's not going to work. I've done that 400 times.
Right.
So there's reasons for that veil of amnesia. And I believe soul contracts are simply agreements that we make with soulmates and with others. It's what we want to work on and get better at.
Yeah.
So we have these different agreements. So what happens via Match.com is all of a sudden, the minute I changed my radius, because it's based on, how far apart from each other, the minute I put in 10 miles, living on Seattle's east side, you can have that tight geography because it's pretty populated. The minute I put that in, this profile came up, Lee, and I was like, I know him. Where do I know him from? And I'm reading through the profile, which was very unusual. There was nothing trite or predictable about it, but it was like I was 2 sentences ahead and I knew what it would say. And I'm like, what is going on here? And the last sentence that he wrote was, any woman on a spiritual path, particularly one interested in an LBL, we have to meet. So I'm like, what the heck is LBL?
I was about to ask you what's an LBL.
Exactly. So what I did was I had learned the concept then of just grounding and clearing your energy before you take action on something, just being centered. And I asked my guides to help me to Google and to find what LBL was, because I thought, well, that can stand for multiple things. So let's find what he's talking about. I immediately found Life Between Lives, which is a 4-hour spiritual regression. It was a technique created by Dr. Michael Newton, who wrote a book called Journey of Souls. This was all new information to me, but I found the website, I was looking at his book, and I was like, this is it. It was this crazy feeling of, here's what I've been looking for and needed and didn't even know. It was like this huge puzzle piece was clicking into place.
Right.
So I ordered the book from the library. It's 2010. There's no Kindle instant gratification. And I write to this Match, and I said, are you referring, when you say LBL, are you referring to Life Between Lives and Dr. Michael Newton, who did past life regressions and helped people at a spiritual level heal their energy, which could heal their body? And I'm like, these concepts are amazing to me, and I can't wait for the book to get here. So he writes back right away and says, yes, have you done any of this type of work? Have you had a past life regression? I'm getting ready to go for my own second Life Between Lives. And I said, no, I haven't, but I can't can't wait for the
Wow.
book to get here. And I'd love to talk with you about this. This is so intriguing to me.
Okay.
We would later find the soul contract for him to wake me up spiritually. So there it was. He did so by telling me about past life regression, by telling me about Journey of Souls, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And during the Life Between Lives, it's a 4-hour session, Lee. So it's something where it really helps if you know how to meditate, raise your vibration and frequency, and that sort of thing. Because what you do is you go on home up to the light. You're taken through a series of events in a specific way. It's an amazing technique. And you go back in utero into this lifetime. You learn why you chose your body, why you chose your parents, what you're working on, what's your life purpose. What were some of the other bodies you considered? How's this one working out for you? I mean, amazing things. From, if you look at it from the psychology standpoint, amazing things from the subconscious, from the unconscious that we don't usually get to access.
Right.
So you're learning this information during this 4-hour session with the hypnotherapist that's specifically trained for this technique. And then you go into a past life, and you might also be cleaning up scenes earlier in this lifetime that are weighing on you, that are still an issue, that need healing, that need releasing, that need some adult love. And it's inner child healing is another way to look at it. Also shadow self, that pieces of you you least like if you don't like your impatience or that you can be judgmental or whatever it might be. It's just embracing that shadow versus pushing it away, arguing with it, that ego being not balanced. So you do this, you go into then the past life, you go to the last day of that past life because our soul's eternal. You leave the body and you go on up to the light, to home, to heaven, whatever your belief system is, Summerlands, whatever, Nirvana, whatever the right term is for the listener. And there you have these incredible experiences, very similar to a near-death experience, but without the trauma. Yeah. Because you're safe. Yeah. You're safe at home on Zoom or in the hypnotherapist's office or whatever it is. You haven't had that heart attack, that car accident, whatever. Wow. So, and you get to meet with your council of elders. You learn more about why you chose this life and how you're doing. You learn about other lives, and it's so uplifting. That reunion with soul family is a big deal. Many people are grieving. They're grieving people who have passed on. They feel like they might not ever see them again. And I am here to tell you, we absolutely can and do. So that it's just like, take that anxiety and worry right off your list. It is not worth your time.
All right, Wendy, I'm going to stop you right here.
Okay.
Just for a second, because you're unpacking a lot, and I'm trying to write notes, trying to keep up.
Certainly.
This is amazing stuff. How did it feel to you? All right, and I'll preface it. Like, we all got to die. So we all die. And a lot of times, me personally, especially when I was younger, used to fear death. Maybe not death, maybe it is death, but pain. Like the pain that's associated, that's perceived to be associated with death. And so now the question, how difficult was it for you to make the decision to come back? Because you've gotten over the major hurdle. You've gone through the experience that's going to transform you to the afterlife, right?
Yes.
How difficult was it for you to make that decision to come back?
When I first got home during that second near-death experience and was getting that hug from 18 or 20 people, souls that I'm closest to, and there were 4 or 5, the same angels that had been in my bathroom that helped me, they were in the background, and Archangel Michael was speaking. When he first asked me, what do you want to do? I'm like, staying, dude. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was my first, because I was getting that love that I evidently so needed and hadn't really been feeling. Getting that connection that was being restored for me. And when he asked me the question after having shared the 3 things with me, all I could see, Lee, was my beautiful toddler's face. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like it was life size. It just filled my world, and I could
Yeah.
just feel my heart opening. And I knew I was going to have a successful surgery, regain my health. I knew I was going to have another healthy
Right.
baby. So when Michael asked me that, I said, "Put me back in, coach."
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It took the fear away, because
Yeah.
I just no longer worried about having just this one chance, and you got to be a perfectionist. You got to get it all
Yeah.
right. And it's
Yeah.
like you get tighter and tighter and tighter, and there's
Yeah.
less and less flow and ease and grace to life with that anxious approach.
I gotta believe that there is a calmness, like a better understanding of life, a different, totally different perspective.
Such a bigger picture, such a more beautiful picture, because when we can start to entertain the thought and explore the belief that everything's happening for me versus everything's happening to me.
To me, yeah.
You know, this doom and gloom, this martyr, this victim. I think it's the most important decision that we can make. You know, which way do we believe? Because when you're in the thick of it, if you've had a car accident and you're injured, you've lost your job, you're divorcing, your heartbreak, just death, different things going on that just really can be so challenging. Whatever you can do to find those coping strategies and know this is happening for me, not to me. And it's going to take some hindsight. It's often going to take some time to see why it happened. I mean, I was very distressed when I was in college, and I'm halfway through. I'm just powering through getting that bachelor's degree. And I am planning to get into the School of Business, and there's 400 seats, and I come out as number 403. And I don't get into the School of Business as an undergrad. And I'm like, oh, come on. 3 people are going to fall out. There's going to be a change of plans.
Right. And it was
just hold the faith. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I changed my major. I changed my bachelor's degree, and I thought, oh, this is so hard. This is such a disappointment, but it must not be my path. And I'm so glad I did, because that's what then led to me choosing to get the master's in business. And I'm so glad I did that. But, you can't see it. You can't see it in the moment. You can't see it with the job layoff that changes everything for you in the best possible way once you get through it. Because that's what happened to me in 2017. And I was working for a wonderful, large healthcare organization in the Seattle area. I had been there for about 10 years. I was planning to retire from there. Things were going great. Had 2 daughters in college at the time. So finances had never been more tighter because of the 2 girls in college, and their dad wasn't participating. So to get laid off at that time, but Lee, I was so fortunate, because about 3 or 4 different people, different spiritual teachers, psychics, healers had said to me, do you know, it feels like there's a big change coming up for you? And do you know there might be a job layoff coming? Have you thought about that possibility? And the first time I heard it, it was like, ooh, oh boy, that's scary. Okay, so what do I need to do with this possibility, with this information? So by the time it came, was it challenging? Yes. Was it the best thing ever in some ways? Because it just set me free. Because what I did at that time, when I did get laid off, was I just chose to, sure, I was doing the traditional job search. And Lee, I had every reason to go back and to find traditional employment. The economy was strong in 2017. I knew so many people in Seattle. I'd lived there for many years. I had great references, great everything. But the job wasn't coming. And that caught my attention. So what I was doing at the same time was, because it was coming up really clearly via meditations, via dreams, and I kept hearing, hang your shingle, hang your shingle.
Hang shingle.
Meaning start your own business. So I did, and that's what took off.
I love it. All right. Whew. Transitioning. All right. So speaking of I'm going to go a totally different area right now. All right. Just in the interest of time.
Sure.
What does releasing energy that no longer serves us mean, and why is it so important? Now, I can sit and I can, in layman's terms, say, you just release it. You don't need it. So why have it, right? But what, give me a specific reason or reasons why this is so helpful and needed.
Sure. What I have found both through personal experience as well as through many, many, many clients is we're often carrying pain that does not serve us. We're carrying physical pain. We're carrying emotional pain. It can be from this lifetime. It can be from past lifetimes. It can be from lives on Earth. It can be from lives on other planets and in other dimensions, if you understand the concept of just multidimensionality, et cetera. And things like anxiety, things like depression, yes, there can be a physical, chemical component to it, but there is an energy component. And when we are able to do these energy healing sessions together and just talk it through and get the body to relax, and it's simply going through a hypnotherapy, a technique like this, it simply feels like almost like you're going to fall asleep at night, or like when you first wake up in the morning. You still absolutely are in control. You have free will. This is not Las Vegas dance like a chicken entertainment hypnosis.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, how do you vet these people out? Because I'm sure there are individuals who are out there that want to manipulate you in ways as well. So finish that question and then tell us how you found the people that you trusted.
I trusted, exactly.
Right,
exactly. So this is soul level work. It is beautiful, respectful soul level work, and you have, as the client, you've got that free will choice. Are you going to be able to, or how are you going to relax? Do you visualize?
Yeah.
Because people have different abilities. Some people beautifully see, others more hear, feel, sense, know what your intuition is. That's another great way to think of it. When you've gotten some of your best intuitive hits and you just suddenly something comes to you, like overnight in the shower, or right in the moment, and you know what's right for you. That's you tuning into that wisdom of your soul. So that's essentially what we're doing in the sessions. And you have a facilitator to help you do that. And we're able to go back to the lifetime of origin of what is causing the physical issue, the anxiety, the depression. And I also see anxiety, that's what we're not in the moment. We're worrying about, we're thinking about, we're projecting about the future too much, and we're getting on the crazy train of all the worst things that could happen, and putting our beautiful energy and our creativity and our strong, it's law of attraction of, like, we start creating what we're most afraid of. Well, that's not a very satisfying life. Or the depression is we're stuck in the past with the coulda, woulda, shouldas, and we just can't let it go. And it's just dragging us down. When we can be, do our best to be in the present moment and like just enjoying this wonderful conversation and not thinking about like what's next on our schedule or what time is it. It's like you just lose yourself in the present moment like children do. It's just wonderful. So we're able to do that via the sessions. And when we go back to that lifetime of origin and find, why am I afraid of this? Because a lot of fears and phobias are coming from past lives. Yes, they may come from something earlier in this lifetime that you may not even consciously recall. But where's that fear of heights, that fear of water, that fear of intimacy, that fear of snakes, dogs, spiders, whatever it might be.
It's interesting.
And we can clean up those fears and phobias, and people can have the funkiest, most surprising. I had this weird thing about paddleboarding. I was just afraid to go paddleboarding, but I wanted to try it. And then, and when you then do it and just get over it.
Yeah.
Set yourself up. I don't need to do this in the ocean with, 50 people watching. I can find. So I purposefully rented a place that was lakefront because I knew it came with kayaks and paddle boards.
Yeah.
And it was this sweet little lake, very shallow. And then you're free, you're free of getting over it. And it was from a past life drowning was what came up. It's like, that's not going to happen again. Those are some of the most powerful words in the English language when we can get people to the place to understand that was past. That was then, and this is now. And then you can set yourself free of it. You release that pain, that anxiety, that depression, and you're so much more in the moment with that big smile on your face.
Man, I'll tell you what, you resonate a lot. That's a question that I never thought about. Why am I afraid of heights?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid of flying. I guess more if I really think about it, I'm afraid of falling from heights.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's really interesting that you put in the concept of past life. What are some common themes that you see, though, like from people that you've helped in trying to clear this past life?
Common themes that I've seen, a lot of times there can be contentious relationships. There's relationships with family members that are just really challenging and difficult. Yeah. And I've seen common themes of finding that people were rivals in a previous lifetime, and they've not finished learning the lessons. What is, what's the lesson with that? Is the lesson to stay in your power peacefully and to just let go of what you cannot change, and to just focus more on what, what is within your purview and where the energy's flowing really, really well. Because if you're, just trying and trying and trying, you're bashing your head against the wall, let it go. It's not for you. Because we often see, people just trying the same thing again, and it's just not making sense for them. So I see a lot of, there can be romantic rivals in a past life that's causing issues now. So for instance, I've had 4 or 5 of these recently, and it's been a lot of difficulty for family members around settling a parent's estate. And what I find is there's like a stepdaughter and a stepmother, and they just cannot agree on settling that. So there's lawyers, there's a lawsuit, there's whatever going on. And what it turns out is the man in question, the husband, the father, had been someone that they had both wanted and were romantic rivals. And it's like, well, on all of a sudden, when you say that to the client, they're like, that's why I never got along with my stepmother or my stepdaughter from day one. So when you have these strong feelings, and that soul recognition, can come up like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you again. I can't wait to catch up. And then you're like, wait a minute, we met 15 seconds ago. But the truth just came out of your mouth because it's that soul level recognition, because you've known each other before. And it's just, you're finishing each other's sentences. It's like that best friend, in your life, or maybe one of your siblings is like that, or maybe you have that greater relationship with a parent, some grandparent, aunt, uncle. And it's like, oh, you're just like, best friends. That often goes back in time. I see a lot of issues with people having drowned, or having fallen, or having been pushed from heights, or something, fell away and crumbled. And so there's energy to release in that area. And when you find it and say to the person, okay, so here's what happened, and they're experiencing it. And then when you can say, that was then, and this is now, now you can let it go. And that's not going to happen to you again. Or I've had a lot of people, I've had about a dozen people with major fears around driving. So, and I'm not talking about, we all can get a little tense when we're trying to navigate, or heavy traffic or just gnarly driving. There's six lanes one way. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about pervasive all the time. Right. So that person may even not be willing to drive. They won't even get their license. Or they're just, a bundle of nerves, either as the driver and or as the passenger in a car. And that's daily life for most of us. Most of us do need transportation via car. Yeah. And what I find again and again, I can't tell you, Lee, how many train conductors I have met, train engineers.
Okay.
And it's past life energy. And they had been in charge of running that train. And trains were not very safe, back in the day. I mean, there's still train issues today. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but they're feeling this responsibility of like, oh my goodness, I did my best to safely move the passengers or move the freight or whatever. And there was this terrible accident, collision. People were hurt. People died. I don't want to drive again. Yeah. So there can be that sort of a vow made. And when we find it, we can release it because we realize what that was then and this is now.
Okay.
Those sorts of things. A lot of times it comes up around finances. So many people. The number one client that I've had with a common theme is there's issues with their financial abundance in this lifetime. And what we often find is there's a vow of poverty that no longer makes sense. And it's from when they entered a monastery, they entered a nunnery, or some type of lifetime where it was appropriate to take a vow of poverty, because that's part of what was being done. But everything was provided for you. You had your home, your shelter, your clothing, your food. Everything was provided for you. So again, that was then, and this is now. And we're now in a system of capitalism. So when people realize that and we can just free up their abundance, it's a big deal. One more is a fear of public speaking. That is crippling for many people, and it stops them from starting their business or starting their podcast or writing or publishing their book. So I help people release that one regularly.
Yeah. Wow, you've hit a lot of things. You've hit a lot of things, and I had a thought, but what's funny, so I got two thoughts. I had a thought and I lost it because I wanted to be in the moment. I didn't want to be focusing like you're teaching me that, and I'm trying to live that. I didn't want to be thinking about what I want to ask you, so I was in the moment. But one thing that I do remember, did you do any kind of voice training?
I did not do any formal voice training, but I'm considered a voice healer. And I'm so fortunate to have that spiritual gift. And I do record all my books as audiobooks because people receive healing from it. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, no. Yeah. What I'm thinking of is while I'm talking to you, it's so rhythmic. It's, I can feel the energy through my headphones. And to be transparent, the screen is over here. So I'm really not seeing your face. I can only go by what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And it's pulling me in. I don't know how to really
lovely.
say it.
That's so kind of you to say. I have
Absolutely.
the good fortune to be a channel for the Ascended Masters and for the angels.
Yeah.
And that was a big journey to come to because I was afraid of it. I just didn't know what that was going to mean and what that was going to be like. And I'm so thankful that I did step to that plate over time.
Good. Yeah. So I just want to put that out there. In what ways has your own healing journey influenced the methods, your methods as a spiritual teacher?
Yes.
And then kind of really quick, not to give all away, give all your trade secrets away. Walk me through like what it is that you would do for everyone, because I'm assuming that there's all different types of things that you do. But what are some core things?
Sure. Some of the core things that we do are we always start at each session with an energy clearing and blessing, because it just helps people be grounded and be clear and just be just be ready to open the doors for
Right.
their then unique journey. Some of the other core things that we do is get people connected with their guide. And that's a big deal because so many people want help with that and just don't know how to do it, or they're doubting or trusting. They've already done it, but they just don't know how to make sense of it. Another thing that we do is we always go to a healing temple, and many wonderful things happens there. Balance the
healing what?
A healing temple.
Temple.
So
Okay.
I help people visualize what that looks like for them. And we balance the chakras, the life force energy centers in the body, balance up the 4 elements, fire, water, earth, and air, and just do different things in that healing temple. We also find out more about people's purpose, because that is a top question for so many people. Am I living my purpose? Am I getting it done?
Yeah.
So those sorts of things, in addition to doing the past life regression.
Can I ask you this? How do you guide your clients in connecting with their spirit guides and angels?
Yes, we do it via a guided meditation together. And what we do is we take a lovely walk across a meadow, and people just visualize that. We may have some healing on the way, because some people are just ready to connect easily and quickly with their guide. We do so by walking up a hill. And what that hill represents, that's us raising our vibration and frequency, and our guide is lowering theirs to come in and, to meet us part way.
Okay.
But so some people need some healing on the way to do that. And then as we actually get people reunited with their guide, because it's not a meeting, it's you picked your guide because you know them and they know you. So it's a reunion.
Wow. Okay.
And then they get a feeling for what their guide looks like, what their energy is like, what their name is. They receive a gift from them and a message from them. It's a game changer for many people who feel lonely, disenfranchised, not supported enough. So it's a big deal to get that connection, and then just have ideas, how to keep doing that on their own. Because, hey, you don't want to go back to a middleman. You don't want to go back to me or a psychic medium or anyone else every time you need to talk to your guide.
Right.
Your
That's
guide.
I like that. I like that you pointed that out. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
So for someone new, and that'd be me, new to the concept, what would you say is the purpose of a spiritually transformative experience?
I believe spiritually transformative experiences come up for us. Not everyone feels that they have one, because I believe we're all here working on different things. So it depends what we are planning to work on and where we want to progress. But a spiritually transformative experience, it's very similar to a near-death experience in that it's very remarkable. It's a huge change. Things have really, really shifted. And it can help you with mid-course correction if you're not living your path, or simply to take you to the next phase because you're ready for it. And it's just, it's a way of jump-starting you into that next phase via the spiritually transformative experience.
Okay. I'm always asking these questions because I learned early in life, you don't ask, you don't know. Can you share some strategies for the listeners wanting to connect more deeply with their spiritual selves?
Absolutely. Having a daily spiritual practice is so helpful. And that might be meditating. And meditation doesn't have to be an hour or more. It doesn't have to be motionless. Some people get into a better meditative state by walking, by taking just a lovely walk. If you can be by water or trees, double points for that. It is so helpful. For some people, it's jogging, it's running. Just the point, it might be yoga, it might be drumming, it might be dancing. It's just whatever you enjoy that's going to just help clear your energy, get you grounded and centered, so you can hear that intuition. You can hear that whisper of your soul versus this busy left brain. Can I do this next? Can I do that next? Oh my gosh, I'm worrying about this. Oh, what about that bill? Oh, what about that? It's just the noise. And we're in a very noisy time because of all the devices and just how people can be so tightly scheduled. So it's getting you back to that place of being a human being instead of a human doing.
Yeah, I like it. A human being
Your
doing.
spiritual practice, you can be grounding and clearing your energy when you're in the shower. Don't just clean your body, your skin, clear your energy. I'd like to let go of any energy not serving me, sending it down that drain right now.
I love it.
Or as you're falling asleep at night or as you're waking up in the morning, just connect. Call in your higher self. Call in your brilliant soul. Call in your inner child, and just have some fun. And, call them in at the beginning of each day. I do it when I sit up when I first wake up, sit on the side of the bed, put my feet firmly on the ground. It's like, okay, higher self, come on in. I just want to be the best of me today. And I call in my inner child. And then I give my inner child permission. If I'm going to do anything that day that she might not like, if you have to go get your teeth deep scaled at the dentist, well, your inner child may not find that very fun. So she can stay home and color.
Not at all. Not at all. I love it. Hey, these are great. This is amazing. First of all, I'm really feeling this conversation. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I got a great question. I got a really good question for you. And this is for you, not for everybody. This is specifically for you. Do you believe that there's always more personal growth to be done? Or have you found a sense of completion in your journey?
I personally believe there's always more. I believe that's meant to be an exciting adventure. It's not meant to be overwhelming. Some people don't like that idea. They don't like that concept. They want to just reach perfection, reach nirvana, be done. I don't believe personally that that's the reality. But it's very valid to just chill, to just celebrate, to just be happy with where you're at. Take a breath. Right. It doesn't have to be this perpetual more, better, faster. That is exhausting. That is just the hamster wheel to nonsense, It's just not fun.
Yeah. But I like both sides of it. I like how you answered both sides because I believe that there is some validity in both answers. Right. I mean, you can, and even if you take a break, it doesn't mean that you're done, right? You can still learn something. And I always encourage people to try to learn something, every day. And it doesn't mean you got to learn hieroglyphics or something crazy. It just means just learn something. And when I'm at work and I have my team, we'll go through, maybe there's an issue and we have to walk through it. And I'll ask them at the end, so what did you learn from this? Or what did you learn today? Or what did you learn from? I always ask that. And it's not always for them. A lot of times it's for me. Let me get off my soapbox. But I really believe that you can learn and continue to learn something every day. Some days you're going to learn something monumental. Some days it's going to be that Oprah aha moment. Yes. Like, oh, I didn't know what was it? And life between lives. What is it?
Life between lives. Yes.
Life between lives. Right. Like I never heard of it. And so I wrote it down because I want to go and I want to actually
Dr.
look
Michael
that up.
Newton, Journey of Soul.
Exactly. So anyway, go ahead.
It's a powerful question to be asking that because it's not always the obvious of, well, I learned how to put calculations into Excel because I wasn't doing that right to have it calculate XYZ.
I'm still working on that.
That's the surface level. but you had to learn patience, perseverance. Maybe you learned how to Google it. Maybe you decided to take a class. Maybe you learned who in the office is really good at Excel formulas.
And you gave a lot of examples in there of things that you have to learn. You have to learn to reach out and ask for help. You have to learn to be patient, and it's not going to come to you immediately because sometimes things come to people like really quick. They get it. And when you get to that one thing where you just don't get it, it's just like difficult mentally.
Right.
Anyway, I think we maybe get off topic. Are we? Are we still on topic?
I think we're on topic.
I'll do that sometime, so I apologize. Hey, but to get back in it, what's one message or piece of advice that you'd like to give the listeners or have the listeners take away from your story?
just to do your best to relax, enjoy your life, and have it not be that hamster wheel. Having lived that for so many years myself. And as I said, I think just like opening up to new possibilities and being willing to have your belief system open, and just, again, what helps you feel peaceful, loving, joyful. What do you enjoy? Because we can just be putting that off, and not getting through these endless to-do lists. And, well, I can't possibly read a book for pleasure because I didn't do all these things. Well, no, we're meant to enjoy our life, and it's not, you don't get the big old, red star for working yourself to death.
Right.
That's not the point, but we're kind of in a society that can be rewarding that, to just being so overly busy. When I first had a spiritual teacher say to me, your guides are really asking you to take a full unscheduled day, have nothing that you have to do that day, no appointments, nothing written on your to-do list, and to get up that day and just feel into what would be fun and what would you enjoy. And I was like, what? I just, just years and years as just this really busy single working mother, commuting and, all the stuff, taking care of the house, the pets, mom next door, the yard. It's like, what? And I didn't understand the concept of being in the moment and just really enjoying, okay, I need to rake the leaves today, but I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it. And I'm just going to do it for as long as I want to, and then just let it go, because guess what? More are going to fall, and I'll get them next time.
I love that perspective. I tell you what, I felt that by happen chance when I went on a cruise, and I woke up the first morning that I woke up on the cruise, and I was like, I don't have to check any emails. I don't have anything scheduled to do. It felt
surprising.
Weird. Yeah, it was surprisingly weird. It was a feeling that I hadn't felt in a while.
Yes.
And it was amazing. So to purposefully do it is kind of an interesting concept.
Exactly.
I love that.
My daughters and I, when they were younger, we used to go visit my dad in Quebec for 2 weeks in the summer. And we would purposefully do a digital detox because I didn't happen to have international coverage. So, and I would tell my daughters and prepare and say, hey, there's going to be no computer, and there's going to be no phone. So everybody get ready. And we would literally, turn them off just as we were, going across the border. And it was amazing how many times you reached for it. And it took a few days or longer.
Adjustment.
And there could be some pain to it. And it could feel weird to just let it go. But it was really good for us. So we did that for multiple years. Each year we would do a 2-week and just challenge yourself. Start with a 12-hour one, Just see how much more calm and freed up you might feel versus this constant checking of email, phones, different programs and systems. And it's just, to get in that moment.
Yeah, I felt not like that. I was in the military, and I remember we were in Iraq. It feels crazy when you first get there, but then the things that you don't have anymore, the watching TV every night, the going to McDonald's, and then it's funny how it just seems like you've always been there, and you don't even really need those things. And when I came back, I was like, I really didn't need it, but then I got back into it. So anyway, enough of that. Hey. Is there anything, and I haven't talked about your books, I haven't talked about your business, I haven't talked about a lot of things. So is there anything else that you like to talk about that we haven't covered, and take all the time that you need?
Oh, thank you.
Because I've really just been having a conversation with you, and I appreciate you. But I haven't touched on all of those points.
So enjoying it. So the best way to get to know me better, if any listeners would like to potentially do an energy healing session with me, is to go to my website, which is wendyrosewilliams.com. And there you'll find how to work together one-on-one via private sessions. You'll find some fun group Zoom sessions too. And they're usually 45-minute to 90-minute things where things like we work together and find out more about your life purpose, or get you connected with your guide, or release past life energy. Or I'm doing one in a few days where we're going to do a healing with the Ascended Masters and Angels. So, and the books are also there, so you'll find them. The most recent book is Regression Healing 2, Joe and Marilyn, and they're available via Amazon and Audible, because I do, as I mentioned, record them as audiobooks. And there's just a lot of healing information that comes through. Lee, I had no great plan for this, but when energy's meant to come up a certain way, the theme of all three of the first books, and they're nonfiction and fiction, it's two different series, it's forgiveness. It's forgiveness of yourself, of others, of just what comes up. And that's a path to peace and freedom, to just being able to let things go. Yes, learning from it, absolutely, but then being able to forgive yourself and forgive others. So that's the best way to learn how I may be of service to you, is via that website. I do also host a podcast, which is called Waking Up Spiritually. And we have everything archived at wakingupspiritually.com. So you can find the episodes there, and it's searchable. So you can put in, guides, energy practice, past lives. You can put in whatever term you might be needing help with, and find an episode on it very likely.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, Wendy, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your incredible journey and insights with me and us today, from near-death experiences to the transformative power of releasing old energy. This episode offered so many pathways to healing. And for those who want to live a more purposeful life, Wendy's message reminds us to look within and let go of what no longer serves us. To the listeners, don't miss upcoming episodes of Hindsight the Podcast, where we delve into more powerful stories of resilience and growth. Be sure to subscribe and continue your journey with us and amazing guests like Wendy. Thank you so much.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you for the wonderful questions and great format.
Hey, thanks for joining me here on Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And while I have you here, why don't you take your mouse, go over and click on that subscribe button. No, not right there. Over to the right. No, down, right there. Boom. Thank you. Now, thank you for subscribing to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones.